Early Modern English, Social History, Caxton on Dialects. The linguistic mentality of modern English is one in which English, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese are all recognized as established national languages. Each is the official medium of communication. This state of affairs leads them to treat languages as national badges of affiliation at the Renaissance. Middle Ages linguistic thought in Europe had been modeled by the intellectual predominance. Greek, although few could read it and even fewer speak it, was identified with the primary sources of European culture. Well, Latin was the international working language of European education and administration. It was the language of law, of government, of the universities, and of the church. William Caxton, the first English printer, translated and published a number of French works, including the Enneads, from the prologue to which the above excerpt is taken. Sorry. Well, Caxton was the fact that English, unlike Latin, had not recognized common usage. It varied considerably from one part of the country to another, causing practical difficulties of everyday communication. To put this problem in its historical perspective, one must remember that when Chaucer, whose works were among those which Caxton printed, wrote the Canterbury Tales 100 years earlier, the language of government in London was still officially French. The century in which Caxton set up the printing press in Westminster was the first century in which the English language in England was no longer in competition with French. Although Caxton specifically addresses the problem of linguistic variation in English and offers the quaint explanation that the English are destined to linguistic vacillation because they are born under the sign of the moon. He would have been unobservant not to the notice in the course of his long residence on the continent. But Caxton's observation is of historical significance because for the first time this is seen as a problem. The lack of uniformity in English usage posed in fact more than one problem for Caxton. In a country where some people say ages but others say Aiden, and those who say one don't understand those who say the other, it is a problem for any publisher who wishes to sell books to as many people as possible. That's normal. But even if the problem is solvable, how to spell the dialect you have chosen to print? Given that there is no accepted assignment of letters of the alphabet to the various competent dialectal pronunciation, these difficulties are further complicated. He observes English had undergone considerable modifications during his own lifetime. The dialect problem, the orthographical problem, and the problem of linguistic change arise from conditions which are endemic in every literary society once it reaches a certain size and a phase of development. Caxton's historical problem as England's first printer arose from the fact that he was committed to a technology which didn't make it possible, as it had been when every readable document was laboriously hand-copied to make individual alterations to individual copies. Printing means mass replication. These two factors, exact mechanical replication and the speed of production, combine to afford unprecedented marketing possibilities for the product. It's logical. One of the paradoxes of the Renaissance is that Caxton's problem would never have arisen if printing had been invented 200 years earlier, for the Latin would still have reigned unchallenged as the official language of Europe. He was introducing where to play a key role in solving the problem of linguistic diversity which he so clearly perceived, by deciding, for better or for worse, to adopt a dialect of London and the South East as the English for his book. Caxton took decisive step forward in establishing that particular variety as the English language. A rather different but related problem was faced by European writers educated to revere the classics. The problem was bound to induce a kind of linguistic and cultural schizophrenia. Prime example, in the defense, du Bellay, required to analyze, discuss, and articulate all the ideas which civilized society needs. Civilized society needs. The French language may yet produce its homage, Demosthenes, and if our language be not so copious and rich as the Greek or Latin, that must not be input to it as a fault. It could never be other than poor or sterile. But who would say that Greek and Latin were always in the state of excellence? We don't really know it. The linguistic community constantly make and improve our language. It is not our linguistic inheritance which determines the limits within which we may think and express ourselves. The development of a language is not like a natural growth. It is an instrument human beings use consciously to advance into the future. This is typically Renaissance view of language as a communicational instrument which human beings are free to alter, adapt, and embellish as they see fit, marks a definitive rejection of medieval scholastic attitudes to language. In the formation of this new national consciousness, the role played by the languages of Europe was perhaps more important than any other. For the first time, it became essential to have a national language in order to secure proper recognition as a nation. For the first time, dictionaries and grammars of the vernacular languages begin to appear alongside dictionaries of Greek and Latin. The task of the vernacular grammarians and lexicographers is seen as being to fix the language, that is to eliminate vacillations and inconsistencies of the kind which perplex Caxton and impose linguistic uniformity. After centuries of linguistic fragmentation, Europe has to a new sense of connection between linguistic identity and political identity.